Matt, thought I'd put you on camera because people think you've disappeared. So
no, I'm still here, Wits, unfortunately for you.
Yeah, I know you make my life all right. Let's have a little look at, say, the season so far. Probably about a quarter of a way through. So, what are your thoughts?
I think we've realised if we didn't before we entered it what a tough league this is. It's probably tougher than when I last worked in it, which was 2007-8 season, I think it was. 2007 last time I worked in this level, and yeah, it is tough. That for me, there isn't a real standout team. I think everyone's on the day capable of beating each other, as we have proven. I think wins over Bury, Southend, Barnsley suggest that we can beat teams with bigger budgets. It's just making sure that we have more of those days and less of the days like Saturday. But I know that Mickey and Jacko and the staff are working harder than I've ever seen of any backroom staff to get that consistency and get the results and get us up the table, because whilst for me it's about staying in this league, I know Mickey wants to finish as high up the league as he possibly can. And I suppose, as does everybody, we want to finish as high as we can, but I think our main target is staying up, which is progress on when we walk through the door. So as a group of staff, they all work harder than I've ever experienced. At times I've have to say to them, so you can't do any more, because their attention to detail is unbelievable. They sit and watch DVD after DVD after DVD, and they read the reports, and they are a fantastic group of people who all get on well. They all complement each other with the different personalities, and I think a lot of the time that work goes unrecognised, and people don't really appreciate the amount of detail that they go to try and get things right. And there's no excuses when they leave here on a Friday or a Monday before a game, because they know that the preparation has been first class.
You mentioned consistency. I suppose that's the thing that every team wants, and it's the thing that's actually quite hard to achieve at this level.
Absolutely, and we're trying. There isn't anyone working harder than Mickey, Jacko, and the players to get that consistency. As I keep saying, that they do work the proverbial socks off to get it right. They are very, very proud people, and they take it personally, as does the chairman and myself and you. You feel the defeat on a Saturday. I know personally from leaving Vale Park on Saturday and driving home. It was about an hour and 15, hour and 20 back home, and you don't really want to speak to anybody. You don't want to get home and suffer the X factor and things like that. But because you feel it. I know that Mickey and Jacko and the chairman feel it more than most, because they are such passionate people. The chairman's a passionate man about the football club. He wants that to succeed. Mickey's passionate about the football club succeeding, as is Jacko. And the times that people forget that, and they come up with conspiracy theories, and this is happening and that's happening, and in actual fact it's a lot of nonsense. Everyone works hard and wants to get 3 points on a Saturday or progress in the cup as it is this weekend. It's like when we sign in players, it's great in hindsight. I think if you and I had hindsight, neither of us would be sat here and would have the Euro Millions or the National Lottery win in our back pockets, and we'd be sat on some sunny island with our families. So great in hindsight. And I keep reminding people that question me on recruitment about you study, and I keep saying that about the staff working hard. They sit down and study and do the due diligence in every single player. And I'm not going to single players out, but they watch footage after footage after footage and speak to people, go and watch them themselves when possible, speak to scouts, speak to coaches, speak to other players. And great with our hindsight. I think with the benefit of hindsight, we'd all do things differently. I said, but we don't manage by hindsight. And at the time, people were delighted with the business that we did over the summer. And why didn't you sign Ian Black and Zach Whitbread and Anthony Gerrard in June so they could have had pre-season? Well, the fact of the matter is that Ian Black, Anthony Gerrard and Zach Whitbread wouldn't have signed for Shrewsbury Town in June or July, and that's no disrespect to Shrewsbury, no disrespect to anything that anybody does. That's the fact of the matter. And, Ian Black was looking for a championship club. Zach Whitbread was getting his injury problem sorted out and was looking for a championship club. Anthony Gerrard was looking for a championship club because these are championship players. You sign players, always sign players that you think are going to make the group better. And like I say, people have short memories in football, but that's part of the fun of being in the game.
But in a way, that's our sort of game. You've got three players of that calibre. I mean, I know that they take a little time to get match fitness back, but you can see from someone like Zach on Saturday, I know the result wasn't the best, but you can see what quality he's got. Absolutely,
and you know that. We sat and we watched. I actually sat in there when Zach Whitbread was being muted about coming in to train for a few days, and we sat back and watched full games of Derby, from the games he played in at Derby towards the end of last season. You watch footage of Anthony Gerrard playing at Oldham at the back end of last year. You watch footage of Ian Black, and you do that with all the players. We watched footage of Sully Kaikai. We watched footage of Larnell Cole. We knew about Sully because we'd played against him and we checked the scout reports that we'd had done on Cambridge last year. We knew about Larney from Man United and the people we speak to at Man United. We speak to a lot of people at Fulham. We've all got contacts throughout the club, and you try and eliminate the risk when you sign a player, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Martin Woods is an example. Signed Martin Woods. He was one of the number one targets for the manager in the summer. We signed him, and for personal reasons and family reasons, he said, "Listen, I'm not going to settle here. Family, I'm going to be back up in North Scotland," and that's what happens in football sometimes. Family dictate. I think your family will dictate things. My family dictate things, and at times you move on. So it's disappointing, and you bring Blackie in as a replacement for Woodsy, but Blackie didn't have the pre-season that Woods had had. Obviously, everyone knows that we lost Ryan and Connor and Wesolowski after 20 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it was, at Bradford. So, these things, you try and have contingency plans and get yourself ready, but we didn't know for definite that we were going to lose Connor and Ryan. You don't know, and obviously, we turned Leeds away. You don't know that we didn't know that Brighton were going to come and give us what we wanted. We didn't know that Brentford were going to come and give us what we wanted, and some. And so you try and have contingency plans, but you don't know. You don't know how lads are going to settle in League One, having had a year or two out of League One. I think when you look at the recruitment we did when we first came in, we put players on 2-year contracts, because the simple fact of the matter is that players of the calibre we signed when we first came in wouldn't have signed on a 1-year deal. And it's the same thing. Great, we got that right last year, and we were promoted, and we were geniuses in the transfer market this year because results aren't particularly great. I'm not saying they're awful by any stretch of imagination. I think we probably deserve to be where we're at in terms of if the season was to finish now, I'd be content with finishing 17th, 18th in League One, and you go again for the following season. So I think people have got to realise that players were signed to get us promoted. We were promoted. We hoped that they would adapt to League One. Some have, some haven't. You move the ones that haven't, and credit to Mark Ellis, fantastic attitude to go out and play. He wants to play, which is great. We had that James Caton in August. He wanted to go out and play, and unfortunately Mansfield didn't want to extend that. So full credit to players who go out on loan, and also you've got to credit those players that decide that going out on loan isn't for them. Again, there could be a whole host of reasons why they've not gone out on loan. It could be location, could be locality of the clubs that have come in for them. They have families to think out, and I would imagine if you've got a young family, it's difficult to uproot them and be away from home all the time. So, I accept that certain players are still here that we perhaps would have liked to have moved on, and it's not as simple as pay them up and they go away, because that doesn't work. The player won't get paid up unless he's got something else to go to, and at times they don't. You mentioned the family bit there. I suppose I can't remember a season where so many players have had little problems. So John Lou had to go back, Loro had to sort of deal with his kid being ill. You just go through it. Even like Zach for his second game, he had
family stuff that he had to sort out that meant they weren't available.
That's it, and you know, you don't publicise it. You don't publicise the fact that, you know, people have got personal issues. You know, and the human beings like everybody else, and you know, their job is to play football. But how many people have missed work because of family issues? You know, you've got James Collins, his wife's had a little lad, and you know, there's all sorts of different things that go on behind the scenes, and things that, you know, people, you know, you don't advertise. It's
just people's lives.
It's people's lives. You know, it's for that individual, you know, to come out and discuss why they were unavailable or why they've had to go here, there, and everywhere. You know, it's not our job to come out and say, you know, but I can assure supporters that, you know, when we've said players are unavailable for whatever reason, they are genuine. You know, we genuinely don't hide things like that.
Look at it, I suppose, when Connor and Woodsy went for the club away from the football side, it gave us a great stability of a large amount of money coming in to make things look a bit more rosy. Absolutely,
I think it's well documented that the losses the club's incurred in the last couple of seasons. You know, when I walked through the door, the club had just been relegated and had significant losses. Despite being promoted last year, we incurred significant losses. And if you take the transfers out of the business plan for this year, the money that the chairman has committed the club to spend, and the players that we wanted to bring in and work with and what have you, the club would have lost money again. So I think you've got to, you know, temper expectations and juggle everything. You know, we average about 5,000, don't we? So
yeah.
You know, there are a lot bigger budgets in the league, and there are also a few smaller budgets in the league. So you have to, you know, look at, you know clubs like Rochdale, Oldham, have been in the league a lot longer than we have, and you know, clubs that are promoting. I know Burton have done very well, and Southend have done well, and Bury have thrown money. Although Flickr says today that their budget's in the lowest in the league, which I did smirk at. But you know, you look at it, and you know, it's a big ask. You know, we're aware. You know, to get Port Vale as an example, you know, they've been in the league years, and they have got steady League One players. You know, we've got some good League One players, we've got some steady League One players, and we've got some players that you know, are struggling to make that step from League Two. So that's Mickey's job. You know, one thing that the chairman doesn't do is interfere in team selection and player recruitment. You know, Mickey knows where he's shopping. You know, and trust me, he's not shopping at Harrods, nor is he shopping on the reduced to clear counter on Shrewsbury Market, you know, of a Thursday afternoon or whenever the market is. You know, so it's governing, it's getting the right player on the right deal that suits both parties. You know, again, you've got to look at location. If you're Bury or Rochdale or Oldham, and you're taking a player who's been released from Blackburn, Burnley, Bolton, the chances are that they live within an hour, if not less, of that ground. I know firsthand how difficult it can be to get to and from Shrewsbury. So sometimes you have to pay a premium for a player to get them to the club. I remember years ago the tale about Wigan signing Emile Heskey and him being on more money at Wigan than he was when he was at Liverpool. And that's because Wigan was an unfashionable club, and they had to pay to try and stay in the Premier League as they were then. So you've got to take everything into account, and a player isn't going to uproot his family for a 1-year deal. They're going to want 2- and 3-year deals. We're not going to want to commit to a 3-year deal because every signing is a punt, and there are going to be players that, you know, just simply don't work out for whatever reason. Yeah. So you've got to take all that into account, which is why we do 2 years, and some of year and a year option. And the options, again, it's so complex. Some of the options are a straightforward option in the club's favour, that if we think they're doing well, thanks, you've got another year. Some are, if the player plays a certain number of games, it gets triggered. So there's, you know, the contracts are really complex, but we always try where possible to make sure the club is protected and it's in their favour.
With Mickey as well, he's a good bloke to be around, because it also shows his long-term planning. I know when Connor and Woodsy went, yourself and the chairman were discussing things like the new training ground upgrading them, and those show that the club is sort of committed to build for the future.
Absolutely. I mean, Mickey's an infectious person, isn't he? You know, I think everyone who's met him will have good things to say about him, and I think the job he's done here has been fantastic, and I don't ever want to see this as some sort of dreaded vote of confidence from the chief executive, because, you know, me and Mickey speak almost every day. You know, he rang me on Sunday morning for a bit of a rant, and, you know, I ring him occasionally and have a bit of a rant, and he's been there for me and I've been there for him, and, you know, I can go into the chairman and say, Chairman, I've got this situation, what do you think, can I ask your advice? And Mickey can go and ask the chairman, the chairman can ask me, and, you know, we do work really close together, and you know, there's, you know, everyone gets on it. You know, all the people keep emailing me, telling me how there's this big rift in the dressing room and how people hate this, and he's had a bust up with him, and it was almost, you almost feel like putting a tunnel cam from 8 o'clock in the morning till they go out training at 10:30 to see how much banter. I mean, you'd have to have a bleep machine to see how much banter goes on. Even Pete the cleaner, you know, gets involved, and, you know, and I get it, and, you know, everyone sort of, you know, wants to have a positive environment, and, yeah, you know, there's no one more disappointed than when we get beaten. People come in on a Monday and they're a bit down because you've been beaten, but, you know, we can't mope. Football doesn't allow people to mope and feel sorry for themselves. You have to snap out of it, and, you know, so you know, first and foremost, Mickey is infectious, and he wants the best for Shrewsbury Town. The chairman wants the best for Shrewsbury Town. I want the best for Shrewsbury Town, and you know, so if that's improving facilities, it's something that we're ongoing with. You know, it's not as simple as, you know, pick up the phone and say, right, come and put me some drainage in and make these pitches great and get me a nice building for him to get trained and have the lunch and stuff. You know, these things take time. You have to do quotes and do your due diligence, then go through it and decide, you know, what's important, what's not important. You know, electric gates and concrete lions or loggerheads at the gates. You know, what we'll do is we'll give a spec that is the grandest, best facility we can come up with, and then we'll sort of work backwards from that. Yeah, and you know, come up with something that works for everybody, because there's no point in getting the money in and spending it all on the training ground and the club being in the financial position where they've got nothing in the bank. But if there's a happy medium between the two, then they'll do it. So that process is ongoing. You don't in business, I don't need you to tell this, the way I work is, you know, you get as many quotes as you can for various different things, and you chip away and negotiate, and, you know, now this is the time of the year that people are struggling for business, and you can chip them down, you can work on them, and, you know, so that's what the process is. And, you know, all being well, if things, you know, all the boxes get ticked, then work will, you know, hopefully would start in the new year.
One of the things last year when you came in, there was a lot to sort of deal with, like badges and kits and like ongoing things. This season's a bit more quiet from yourself, sort of talking about stuff, but there's other things going on behind the scenes.
There's plenty going on, and you know, my day is varied. You know, already today I've had, you know, a meeting with the chairman to discuss various things to do with the club, football and non-football. Obviously, meeting with you, I'm interviewing with Jamie Edwards for an assistant community manager. So, you know, there's lots going on, and you know, just because I've not been a media whore, for want of a better phrase, doesn't mean that I'm in the background and doing nothing, because I can assure you that, you know, if you look at my inbox and my email and my sent items, you know, I'm constantly looking at ways of, you know, developing things here and improving things, and speaking to agents for players, speaking to potential property developers about bits of land here, and working with the chairman to realise the potential of the site that we sit on. So, you know, do you want me to do a big interview about the fact I finally got beach towels in the club shop? You know, I promised I would get beach towels. I'm disappointed that they've only come in like late October.
People still have holidays.
But you know, you know, we've enough of them to keep us going until next summer anyway. So, you know, I mean, you know, merchandise wise, we've had some issues with the badge on the new kit, which we're addressing. The people that make the badge for Array also do the Premier League sleeve badges.
Yeah.
And typical to me, it seems to be Shrewsbury that the only club that are here have had any issues with the badging the way they are, and they've made some new badges with more glue on and all this sort of thing. And you know, it's come to the decision, well, we've come to the decision that next year's training kit and the away shirt, the new away shirt that we'll have an embroidered crest.
Yeah.
You know, because that's, yeah, it solves any problem. Yeah. You know, people think that the club are out of pocket. Araya have been fantastic. Let me tell you, every loggerhead that's fallen off and the shirt we've sent back, we've either received a credit note or a replacement, and every supporter. I apologise for that. And, you know, if it was done right, it'd be a fantastic badge. But it hasn't worked so that the way we wanted it to work. So we've changed it. You know, you can't change it mid-life of a kit. You know, in terms of the merchandise, Siv and Simon in the shop have done fantastically well. We've got all sorts in there. I mean, I said to you when I first walked in, I wanted to buy something for my dad for Father's Day, and the only thing I could get that was either a 5XL home shirt or a car mat. Now I can walk in there and spend a few quid, and there's loads of stuff in there, and we took the decision not to have a unit in the town centre this time because we couldn't find a way of selling tickets the way we wanted to sell tickets, and I wasn't sort of keen on just sending somebody up with a bag full of tickets for a block, for a block for this stand, a block for the south stand, a block for the far stand. I didn't want to do that. I think the ticket system that we've people are printing tickets at home, and I accept that there was some teething troubles and people coming up with the booking fees and all that sort of thing, and that always happens when it's change. It was the right thing to do. The access management by and large is working fine. So the changes that we made around the pitch, what a change that was. That was fantastic. I don't want to sit here blowing my own trumpet, whoa, this is me, I've done this, but the things are going on. Disappointed not to have got the concert through the company that I'd worked with previously, but I'm trying my hardest to still get a concert, and I've thrown some more dates at another promoter who sort of have shown a tentative interest. But these things that they're ongoing. You never stop looking at ways of trying to improve it. I think I've had thousands of players thrown at me in the last few weeks from all across the world, and I feel sorry for Vern and Adam who've been helping, because I want them to look at every one that you say. Someone who's been released from the French third division. Well, there's every chance he won't make it, but you've got to view the YouTube clips, and if he, I think we could all put a YouTube package together of us looking good playing football.
Friday night.
Even I could put my 5 goals this season on a package. But it's an exciting time to be a Shrewsbury. It's a club that is a completely different place to the one I walked through 17 months ago. I think that's testament to the chairman that he realised that it needed to change, and he's allowed us to change things, and we keep looking at ways of taking it forward. And like I said, the coaching staff, the yourself, the commercial staff, the camp staff, the catering staff, they work tirelessly to make things better. I think our media output is great. I'd like the Shropshire Star and Radio Shropshire to promote more of the good work that we do, particularly in the community. But that's something that goes unnoticed a lot of the time. I'd love to be able, with my community hat on, to employ someone full time just to send out press releases and take photos and do video packages of all the fantastic work that Jamie Edwards and his team are doing. Last week we had the NCS students doing a Dragon's Den style, and they had half an hour to come up with some ideas, and some of the ideas that came up were fantastic. And we had some good people from local businesses here, and it's a shame that we couldn't do more with it. But that's something that I'm constantly looking to improve. I think our match day programme this year is fantastic again. I think it's, you know, we struggle how we're going to make it better next year.
Back to basics.
So you know, we had some of the events that we put in on. You know, Van Gerwen here again, which was a great night. We've got a comedy dinner coming up, Fawlty Towers. You know, Christmas parties are all booked. So you know, it's a really, you know, off the field things are, you know, are still progressing and going well. And you know, I think just the odd, you know, a few defeats here and there, so people pick up on, you know, the coffee's not this, and you know, there isn't that, and there isn't this, and well, why do we have to do that, and you know, why don't the club do this? So, well, you know, these are all sort of trivial things that we'll look at, and we'll try where possible to make things better. But I just want everyone to know that I'm still here. I'm fighting fit. I'm still trying my hardest, as the chairman and manager are, to make sure that this club continues to make progress on and off the field.
And away from the football, you went and got married.
Yeah, I did. I went and got married. It was a very quiet affair, which is what Mrs. Williams wanted. She wanted just to get married in Greenwich, which is where her brother and sister-in-law live, and it was a case of it was a really small, very, very small ceremony. In fact, it was me and her, obviously. A brother and sister-in-law. We got to Greenwich Town Hall at 10, and we were in the Wetherspoons across the road for about 20 past, having a celebratory bacon and egg and pint. So yeah, I mean, it's no different, is it? You know, she puts up with a lot, to be fair, because you know, when we get beat on a Saturday, my mood isn't particularly great, and I probably get, you know, probably stew on it for the 2-hour drive back to Blackpool after a game on a Saturday. So no, she's good, and she enjoys her football.